Sunday after Trinity, according to my diary, Sunday the 8th of August, continuing to think from John chapter 6 about Jesus saying he is bread from heaven. Some notices before we sort of continue on. Rule changes. There are rule changes afoot regarding COVID. We had a messy church last weekend, messy church long, and it highlighted some of the way the rules work. So people had to book in for a 1 hour family bubble slot in the church hall, which they did. And in the church hall, the rules were of a church meeting, and therefore they had to keep everybody apart, they had to wear masks, they couldn't mix indoors. We gave them tea and squash so they could be a little bit freer, but in the church hall for the first part of Messy Church, it was like a church meeting. And then we sent them along to the church where there's some more thinking. But because there were no chairs, they weren't sat down, they were just wandering through. It was more like an exhibition area. There were different rules for that. It was like the church being open for visitors. So they could chat across bubbles as long as they sort of kept themselves safe. And then for the final part of their visit, they went to the tent that we put up outside, took all the sides off, so it was classed as outside. And then we fed them. And then that kicks in another sort of set of rules. 6 people from 6 households can meet together. It's bizarre that one event, because it came in different parts for each family, different rules are being applied at the same time. As a church, we have a broad range of activities that go on. It's not all 1 hour worship slots in a church building on a Sunday. As such, we've got a range of things going on indoor and outdoor over the month, which we're going to modify as soon as we know what the government decides it's going to let people do, and once the church in Wales has decided what we can do with those. It's all slightly crackers, hoping it'll all be kind of sorted as we get into the autumn. That'll be the end of it, but who knows. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on things and we're doing what we can, but it is going to be a bit uppy-downy for a minute. Secondly, ministry areas. We're meeting up as a PCC soon, local PCCs, and we're going to be chatting about a few things. Obviously what I've just been talking about, the rule changes coming up, and we're going to be sort of minuting that we're happy to become part of the ministry area with Aberkenfig, the Ogre Valley and the Garw Valleys. The church in Wales, it all signed off and delivered by the 1st of January 2022. We're going to miss that deadline. We're certainly going to miss that deadline. It's going to take a good while for us to learn about each other, to think about what we want to do, to get to know our brothers and sisters from across the fledgling ministry area, and most importantly, to listen to God. So ministry areas, they are here to stay, and we will become part of one. And we're sort of chatting about it in our next PCC, but it's you will hear of rumours of wars and earthquakes and ministry areas being rammed upon people. It's not the way it's going to work around here, but do chat if you want to know more. The future, thirdly, we'll see the church in buildings having services, and also the church online. And in the way that email has replaced sort of phone, which replaced letter, myself and Glenda are now available in more ways than ever before. So if you want to connect with us, please do. You can write us a letter. It'd be nice to get many of those. You could ring us up on the telephone. You could wander past and sort of knock on the door and have a chat. You can email us, you can sort of video call us. There are many different ways. My preference is face-to-face over a cup of tea. But in this crazy sort of getting to the end of the pandemic time, if you just want to chat, there are many ways which me and Glenda can be contacted. Please do through the medium, which is your favourite. To today's reading, and the diocese has employed a few people to help us over the next few years as the diocesan vision, which includes ministry areas, is worked out. We had Paul, the vision lead, read a few weeks back, if you remember. And today I'm introducing Steve. Now, Steve is the lead for getting children and young people engaged with churches and church communities all over the diocese. He came to the Messy Church Long on Saturday, and I think he really enjoyed it. So I asked him if he'd be sort of the guest reader for today. He's a bit bouncy, and he's going to read to us from John chapter 6. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I'm the Senior Engagement Worker for Llandaff Diocese, and I've got the brilliant job of helping children and young people connect with Jesus. It was great to see some of you last Saturday at Messy Church. I know that numbers weren't what they normally are, whatever normal is these days, but it was fantastic to experience church with excited, inspired and hungry people eager to find out more about Jesus. Today's reading tells us more about this Jesus that I love, and how if we were truly hungry for him, then he will feed us. It's from John 6:35, then 41 to 51, and I'm reading from the Message translation. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. The person who aligns with me hungers no more and thirsts no more ever." At this, because he said, "I am the bread that came down from heaven," the Jews started arguing over him. "Isn't this the son of Joseph? Don't we know his father? Don't we know his mother? How can he now say, 'I came down out of heaven,' and expect anyone to believe him?" Jesus said, "Don't bicker amongst yourselves over me. You're not in charge here. The Father who sent me is in charge. He draws people to me. That's the only way you'll ever come. Only then do I do my work, putting people together, setting them on their feet, ready for the end. This is what the prophets meant when they wrote, 'And then they will all be personally taught by God.' Anyone who has spent any time at all listening to the Father, really listening, and therefore learning, comes to me to be taught personally, to see it with his own eyes, hear it with his own ears, from me, since I have it firsthand from the Father. No one has seen the Father except the one who has his being alongside the Father, and you can see me. I'm telling you the most solemn and sober truth now. Whoever believes in me has real life, eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your ancestors ate the manna bread in the desert and died. But now here is bread that truly comes down out of heaven. Anyone eating this bread will not die ever. I am the bread, living bread, who came down out of heaven. Anyone who eats this bread will live and forever. The bread that I present to the world so that it can eat and live is myself, this flesh and blood self." I hope you enjoyed that. Bye!
Thanks for that. Here then is the thought that came to my little mind after I'd sort of read that through, and just sort of wondered, what can we learn from this this week? You will have noticed from looking at the TV schedules, there are not an infinite number of types of programs around when you sit down and look. I dip in and dip out of lots of different genres on the TV. I like stuff with people in it. My favourite, I got to say, is back to the floor types of shows. Back to the floor types of shows. And two episodes in this genre particularly stick out for me. One was when somebody doing one job had to pretend to be somebody doing another job and see if they could get away with it. Now, in this particular episode, right, a vicar was to pose as a used car dealer. You can imagine somebody inventing this in a TV production company, can't you? Now, he was given a few weeks to get into the role, and then some judges were to come to the car dealership and see if they could pick out the fake. As it turned out, when the judges came round and they watched all the employees going about their work, they couldn't work out who. It was kind of a split decision. They couldn't work out exactly who they thought was the fake. And they were really surprised when the vicar revealed himself. I mean, I wasn't so surprised with that one, because if you're a decent vicar, you will know your people and you will know your area. And this chap had clearly learnt about the cars he had for sale, and when he was meeting potential customers, he was really listening to them, and as such was good at selling cars. I think they wanted to keep him on at the end, if I remember that one correctly. Second then was based in a supermarket where the CEO of the company, so the top bod, literally went back to the floor to stack shelves and work on the tills, because he wanted to find out what it was really like for the employees, and not what was being fed back up through middle management. When he appeared on the shop floor, he was like a fish out of water, yeah. And a few people thought him a right waste of space, you know. But one lovely lady, she sort of took him under her wing, kept an eye on him, didn't have an inkling of who he was, you know, lovely innocent girl. She simply accepted him. Then a few weeks later, she was called to the head office under some pretense. And when she saw him behind the desk of his office, it was priceless TV. It was priceless TV. She really struggled to accept what she was seeing, that the CEO of the company was the newbie she'd been helping just a couple of weeks back. It was cracking. It was absolutely cracking. Now, if you hold the sentiment of those two thoughts in your head, you can maybe then have some sympathy for the people around Jesus in that Bible reading that we've just had, okay? Jesus is making his declarations, and the people are struggling with it. They can see the young bloke standing in front of them, as he's telling them that heaven is his home. They see his feet in dusty sandals as he's opening the scriptures to them in a new way. They can't get past we know his family, as he's telling them that through him they could live forever. You can see him really struggling with the chap in front of them, and what they knew about him and his ordinariness. They couldn't equate it with the amazing things he was saying. Now, the sadness is that the Jewish people had the scriptures. They organised their lives around the scriptures. They organised their society around the scriptures. The foretelling of Jesus in the scriptures, though, they'd kind of completely missed it. As Jesus then tried to open the scriptures to them, they were so bedazzled, they just couldn't accept it. Still to this day, not all Jewish people accept that Jesus is the Son of God, who was born into the world. A portion of them, called Messianic Jews, they have accepted, but not the majority. His own, his own. In our society today, like every other society before us, I think people are still asking the same few questions. Stuff like this. Where did all this creation come from? Is there a God? And if so, what is he like? What does he think of me? What happens when we die? From billionaires in their mansions to regular people living in less salubrious conditions. From the cleverest professors to those blokes talking in the corner of the pub. From those for whom life is a breeze at the moment, to those for whom life is tough. I guarantee you, every single one of them will have sat down quietly, probably looking at the night sky, and at least once thought, what is all this about? What is all this about? It might even be what you are thinking now. The answer, my friends, to all of these questions are found in the words of Jesus today. And as Glenda was sharing last week, it's really simple. I'm not being patronizing, it's really simple. Jesus is the real deal. He's God born into the world to show that there is more to life than what you can see and touch and feel, to show that you are valuable to show that you are forgiven, and to wait to see if you're going to be his friend and let him be your life coach. It's all true. Elsewhere in the Bible, Jesus alludes to the fact that one day time will stop. Everyone will individually be interviewed by him to find out what they believe. Those who are his friends will get their reward to live forever. Those who do not want to be his friends, well, that's another sermon for another day. And here is the thing. This is what I'm sort of coming to finish with. Here's the thing. You may be able to fake it in this life and pretend you've got it all together. But Jesus, the CEO of the Universe Incorporated, is not on the floor in person anymore, but he is everywhere by the power of heavenly CCTV. And he's just waiting for you to respond to his offer. So don't be shy. It really is simple. Talk to him. He will hear you. Become a friend of Jesus. Some questions then for you to answer if you wish. And you can send me your answers if you wish as well, to sort of help you think more deeply about that thought of mine and what Jesus says in the Gospels today. Number 1 of 4 as ever. Have you got a favourite TV genre? Have you got a favourite TV genre? Like I said, mine is back to the floor, you know. Stuff about people. Have you got a favourite TV genre? And number 2, do you get the struggle of those who question Jesus in today's gospel? Did you feel for them? You know, those people who just cannot see past the ordinariness of Jesus. Maybe the ordinariness of church and, you know, us who go to church. Do you get the struggle of those who question Jesus in today's gospel? Number 3, are there people like that, you know, the ones on the pages in the gospel, who are in your life at the moment? You know, they just struggle to believe. Are there people like that in your life who just struggle to believe? Have you got sort of family members or friends who they see your belief and they just can't get there. They just can't get there for whatever reason. And number 4, are you struggling maybe to believe that Jesus is the real deal? You're listening in today, and as I'm talking, you just can't quite believe that, you know, you are accepted, you can be forgiven, you can be heard. Are you struggling to believe that Jesus is the real deal? Is it you? Is it you? Okay, 4, and as I say, do with them what you wish. And if you want to sort of scribble some answers together and chat about them, more than happy. More than happy. 2, song for the day. It's an old favourite, and it reminds us that Jesus came from heaven to earth to show the way. Jesus came from heaven to earth to show the way. Lord, I lift your name on high. And an old favourite. And what I mean by old is 20 years old. A prayer then to bring all our thoughts, and our questions and everything together at the end of our session. So once you've got to close your eyes, let me pray a prayer for us. Dear God, thank you for sending Jesus to come and live among us and to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are loved, that this world is not all that there is, and that we just need to believe to belong to this amazing team, to be a Christian, to be a friend of Jesus. Amen. Righty-ho, folks. Keep an eye on the social media, keep in contact. You know, like I said, the schedules, we've sort of listed the kind of things we're going to do over the next month or 2, but the rule changes may mean we can do more sooner, or we might have to wait a little while. But yeah, keep in touch, keep safe, and we'll see you either in person or electronically as we move along, as we try and get back to normality sometime before the sun sets on this year. Keep safe, everybody.
You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my death to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Yeah. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, and from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lift it up. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm happy, Lord, and I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises, and I'm so glad you're in mine. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. You came, Lord. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Oh, I lift your name. I lift your name on high, on high, on high. You are holy, you are holy, you are holy. strength and my song and my all, and my King, my God.